Alright, as you guys can see, I've started sanding. So this is the front fender. Coming along pretty well. I've been using this Ingersoll Rand pistol grip sander. I got a small air compressor and this thing doesn't use a lot of air, so it works good. And the little 3-inch discs help get into the smaller, tighter to reach places. I'm using 320 grit right now, or no, 180 grit. Yeah, so the key to sanding and repainting a bike that I've found is going down all the way to bare metal is never good. I mean, you can do it, but usually you can't get all the paint off and stuff becomes uneven, wavy, and then when you go to paint it, it doesn't look as good. You can use filler, but what I found is you gotta sand the clear coat off and get it so it's a nice dull surface, so that way the new paint can stick to this. So when I'm repainting this, I'm actually going to be laying down a primer over this and then the paint, actually 2 different types of color of paint, because I'm going to be doing a patina paint job and I want the underneath color to show through the top layer color. So after I prime it, paint it once, paint it twice, I'll be sanding it down so it looks rustic and weathered and old, and then when all is said and done, I will be clearing over all of that and hopefully I get a nice patina job. So yeah, this is pretty boring. I got a lot of stuff to sand, doing everything, gas tank, saddlebags, yeah, so don't mean to bore you, but this is my least favorite part of the job. So along with sanding all the painted objects, I'm going to be sanding a lot of the chrome. So chrome is always hard to paint over. It does chip off pretty easy. I got this PG1 paint that is meant for engine cases and stuff like that on motorcycles. So I'm going to give it a try. I'm using the same sandpaper, 180 grit on the pistol grip thing, and I'm just trying to get a nice dull finish so the paint has a little bit better something to stick to. And the paint I'm using is actually heat resistant too. So these are the muffler guards. I'll be repainting the mufflers as well, and a few of the engine case parts, but it sands pretty easy. It gets nice and dull. So yeah, as you can see, I mean, this is the chrome and this is it after it's sanded. I gotta go over it a little more, but it gets pretty dull, and that just gives this paint something a little better to stick to other than this shiny chrome. So I'm not sure how it's gonna turn out. I hope it turns out good, but like I said, I'm still learning, and this is a new product I'm gonna be trying, so might as well give it a shot now and let you guys know how it goes. Alright guys, so I've been sanding and sanding and sanding all the fenders, everything, and we're making progress, but it's taken a while. So what I'm going to do next, actually, on the electraglides, on the front and rear fender, they have some trim pieces that bolts into these holes right here, and then there's this thing, there's actually a light that goes on the front of the fender. And on the back fender, this whole thing right here, that's the light, and I don't want that. I want it all to be flush, and I want these holes filled in. So what I'm going to be doing now is welding these little holes. I got to find a plug to weld into there, grinding it smooth, and then putting a little Bondo over this and working it all smooth. Same with right here, welding it in, grinding it all down and smoothing it all out because I don't want that trim on there, and I do not want that light. So I'll be welding these and filling them in. Hey guys, so I filled the holes a little. There's a little bit of indentation, but I gotta cover this hole with some Bondo. So I'll just spread it thin there along with this as well. And the sides came out pretty good. And I also gotta put a little bit here. There was a dent in the fender. So I'm gonna mix up some Bondo and spread it and sand it and make everything smooth, and she'll be ready for paint soon. So making progress. I gotta sand a little more of the bottom of the saddlebags with air sander. It eats this up real fast, so I'm just gonna hand sand this. That's why it was taped off, but everything else is pretty much sanded. Gas tank's ready, side covers, and the fenders. All right, guys, so I'm using just some automotive Bondo. Gonna mix the hardener in it, spread it thin on here, and once it dries, we'll be able to sand it off and make everything smooth, and we'll be able to put the first layer of paint on.
Pick up the phone.
All right, guys, so I pretty much have everything sanded. Bondo turned out good, nice and smooth. Like I said, I just had to cover those little holes. Everything else looks pretty good and feels pretty good. I got all this stuff sanded and got as much as I could done, and it's pretty much gonna be ready for paint. So I'll be using some prep spray, and I'll be starting to layer up the paint. So I'm actually gonna start with this brown primer, and then I'm gonna go with metallic orange over the primer, and then a black. And I'm actually going to be doing the patina paint job. So like on the edges here, I'll be sanding it and having the orange poke through the black and some of the brown to make it look rusty, but I think it'll turn out pretty good. So I'm hoping tomorrow I can get some primer on this and start the next step. I made a mess. I hate sanding. I'm all dusty, but I think everything is gonna turn out good. The more you sand and the more you prep, the better everything will turn out. So take your time, sand it, make sure there's no shiny spots left, and everything should turn out good. So.